Thanks for joining us for City Council Comments. I'm Steve Erickson along with City Council member Steve Wells. Today we're talking about both the April 2nd and the April 16th City Council meetings. Thanks for being here today.
Good morning.
A little dreary, maybe we had a little sun. This week's been a little bit of a roller coaster,
Well,
it seems.
Tuesday was perfect, and I think today's going to get better. So.
Okay, and this weekend's supposedly really nice.
Easter weekend looking good, so that's nice.
Yeah, that's great. All right, well, we're going to jump right into things here on our, starting with our April 16th City Council meeting. A couple items there. The first we want to talk about is the swearing in of 2 new police officers.
Yeah, that's always exciting when that happens, and Chief Wise does such a nice job of talking about the commitment to the community and the new officers, and gives us a little background, which is always nice to hear. And I think it says a lot for the department. We were talking earlier that the number of police officer candidates has been greatly reduced over the last couple of years, but Coon Rapids continues to get quality candidates, which certainly is a benefit to the city, and these 2 are no exception. They seem like great candidates with great diverse backgrounds in what they did. Little trivia for you, Officer Barron, I coached him in baseball some 29 years ago, so
Okay.
I met him at around holiday at a little get-together, and
Nice.
I did not recognize him from 29 years ago, but I don't know that, I'm sure I look the same, so that's why he recognized me, but just kind of a small world, so,
Yeah.
And it's always fun when these Coon Rapids kids, come back
Yeah.
and work for the police department. Over the years, we've had several of those, so,
Yeah.
like I said, they both look like great candidates, so wish them the best.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting too. They talk about the diverse backgrounds of jobs they had, even being a bartender or whatever. And Brad's like, that's great customer service skills.
People skills, you bet.
Yeah, and you deal with all sorts of different people, obviously, being in law enforcement. All right, so Officer Danielle Forsman is an Officer Doug Barron. So they were sworn in, and they're on the streets now.
Correct. They're ready to go.
All right. Council considered a contract award for 2019 street maintenance program. This is an annual thing, and some of the roads will be getting some upgrades.
Yeah, and I'm sure every spring people are frustrated with the roads, and I don't know if this year's worse than normal. I think every year we think that, because it is frustrating, and this snowstorm, of course, didn't help things. They're ready to start filling potholes, and you get a snowstorm.
Yeah.
But there's certainly, as we talked to Mr. Himmer, he's certainly aware of the worst roads out there. But certainly, if people feel like they have a problem that needs immediate attention, they should notify the city and let them know. I mean, because it's obviously not possible to know of every terrible situation out there. They're doing the best they can, but if there's a particularly bad situation, let the city know. And obviously, as far as road reconstruction, that'll be done, as the summer goes on, on the projects that have been budgeted to be done this year.
Yeah, usually about 10 miles of streets. This specifically is for seal coating, pavement markings, crack sealing, and fog sealing.
Correct.
So this is just in different areas of town.
That's right.
Okay. And I believe folks can still use there's a reported feature still on the website, right? So if you're seeing a problem in a certain particular area of town, you can go to the website and report it right there.
Right. Street lights out, all kinds of different things. Yes, certainly do that.
All right. Well, we're going to hope for no more snowstorms, and they can get all those roads patched up. All right. Council considered a resolution approving plans and specs. This is for Coon Rapids Boulevard improvements, and we're going out for bids on this project.
Yeah, that's kind of a different project. The city is actually taking the lead on that, even though it's a county project, and the money's being split. It's obviously a big commitment from the city, but it's something that's going to be needed, and it's going to go along with the development of Riverwalk. There'll be some. The intersection will actually become Zilla Street, not Avocet, as it's been for years and years, due to realignment and stuff. But I think this is going to be a great improvement, that whole development, and redoing the roads down there from a safety standpoint, and sidewalks, and it'd be a real improvement.
Yeah, so we're talking about new traffic signals basically at
Correct.
where Zilla or
Zilla,
Avocet is
Coon
currently,
Rapids
and also Egret Boulevard.
Yes, new signals at Egret also.
Okay, and there was some talk at one point also about a pedestrian overpass. Has that come to pass or not?
Well, it hasn't happened yet, but it's not, off the table yet either.
Okay.
There's some things that have to, go into that, and I wish I could definitively say that that'll happen, but at this point, we can't say that.
All right, but sidewalks, it sounds like it's part of this
Yes.
project as well.
Correct.
All right, and then they were also talking about transit, stops for the buses on
Exactly.
the boulevard as well.
Yes.
All right, well, we'll be getting those bids back, I would imagine, in the next month or so. Council considered a resolution authorizing the transfer of funds and reallocating the 2018 general fund budget and amending the 2018 and 2019 budgets. This is something that is usually done annually.
Yeah, it's really just standard, procedural things, but just, so people understand. I mean, if something was budgeted, say a piece of public works equipment for $200,000 in 2018, but it wasn't purchased, well, it isn't in the 2019 budget, so you have to, put the money, hold the money over from 18 so you don't look like you're over budget in 19. And also, it sometimes just to have everything balance out for 18, you do some transferring of funds, like maybe one particular fund went a little bit over, but there's money in the budget. So, in the end, we don't go over budget, and that's what counts, but sometimes there's transferring of funds to make that happen. It doesn't make a lot of sense for the city to be, overall under budget, but list two funds as being over budget when in reality, the budget isn't over. So, and 18, we had a unique situation that we had a very large surplus, much larger than normal, and we talked about that. Traditionally, that money has gone into facilities fund, which has been used for projects throughout the city, whether it be public works, police, fire, for building material, or and there's talk now of remodeling City Hall, which will be a very extensive project, and we're just kind of going to hear some of that coming up in the near future. As to what, but when a building gets to be 23 years old, there's things that need to be done. There's changes that need to be made. So I think there's some exciting things that are going to come forward about City Hall that are going to be well needed. And what that's going to cost, what form it's going to take, is still yet to be determined.
Yeah, and the unique thing, we had still a lot of building permit revenue, correct, from the hailstorm we had in that June?
In 17 and 18, those numbers were far more than an average year. So I guess I hope we have an average year this year, because that means we won't have tremendous storms throughout the city that may bring a couple bucks into the coffers, but it's obviously an inconvenience to a lot of people.
Certainly, but we're also improving the housing stock along the way. So
exactly.
That's not too bad either. And then the other thing was interesting to find out is there were some more open positions, and I think there's just trouble in general kind of recruiting because there's so many openings everywhere these days.
Well, and that's where a lot of the excess money comes in. If you have an open position and you don't fill it for 6 months, obviously you had to budget for that position.
Right.
And if you multiply that over every department in the city, it doesn't take long to have the equivalent of years worth of open positions, and that does create excess funds.
All right. That is all we have to talk about on the April 16th meeting. We're going to head back to our first meeting of the month now, which was April 2nd. We had a presentation there that was added. This was for a man that was saved again. We've had a couple of these now, thanks to the help of police, fire, and EMS.
Yeah, I mean, this is another one of our favorite things to have, at the council meetings, is to recognize this. These type of things, and it's becoming more and more common as the education gets to more and more people to start CPR only. And we've talked about this in the past. People are reluctant to give mouth to mouth over the years, and a lot of times that's what prevented them from doing anything. And now training people that start CPR is what you need to do. Call 911, start CPR, and if a defibrillator is available for citizens to do that, and a lot of them have been trained to do that too, and it's not difficult to use a defibrillator, but obviously if you've never done it, it can be, kind of a scary proposition. But, the whole system worked here, police, fire, the EMS, and dispatchers, everyone's involved in making that quick response. And, obviously we don't, want people to have cardiac situations, but as far as there's so many of them that happen that aren't saves that it's really nice to be able to celebrate the saves, and I think that's an important thing that we do at the council meetings.
Yeah, so everybody involved, including the dispatchers, were honored that evening. The gentleman was Michael Faulkner, was the guy that was saved. His father also spoke and thanked all of them and appreciates, obviously, having his son still here.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of people may not realize, he was a young man, or is a young man. It happens at all age categories. Right. It's not, these type of incidents, no age. It can happen to children and as well as obviously older people. But you're looking at someone that has got a long life ahead of him. Thanks to this save.
Yeah, and one other thing we learned is that the Coon Rapids Fire Department is starting to carry this new technology or new device as of basically April 1st that helps do the CPR in like compact places. Did you get that at the?
Yeah, and
I forget what the name of the.
Yeah, and I do too, and I certainly should know. And it's.
It helps elevate them, and they're able to be more successful.
Yeah, because it kind of inclines them, and they have them also at the hospital, and of course. Yeah. If you've ever done CPR, and I've unfortunately done it many times where unfortunately it hasn't been successful, it's very tiring very fast. Because CPR, you need to push down very hard on it, especially a large adult male, and you need to do 100 compressions a minute. Well, believe me, after 2 minutes, you are incredibly exhausted, and as much as you try, you may start not doing it as well as you should. And obviously if you have a piece of equipment like this, it's going to do perfect compressions. So it's a big advantage to have something like that.
All right, well, always good to see, like you said, these presentations. All right, a consent agenda item we wanted to talk about, the announcement of the 2019 Summer Concert Series. That means summer's almost got to be here, right?
Yeah, and actually it seems like it starts early this year, which is great, but very well attended, the concerts in the park, and they're great events. And I happen to be with the North Star Lions, and we serve the food down there, and it's always, people are so appreciative, and it's just such a good time. And I guess I'd just like to run over the bands real quick. On June 6th, the Mooners, which is rock. On June 13th, Dirty Shorts Brass Band, which is New Orleans jazz. June 20th, Everett Smithson Band, the Music of Mississippi. June 27th, the Red Letter Band, that's country. July 11th, we always take the 4th of July weekend off, obviously, with the festivities going on. 4th is actually a Thursday night this year. These are all Thursday nights. July 11th, Minnesota Bluegrass and Folk. 18th, Backyard Bands, which is variety. July 25th, Kenny and Rick, also variety. August 1st, Vinnie Rose, variety. And August 8th, the Revolution 5, which is a Beatles tribute band. That'll be several of these. The Arts Commission does a good job of mixing it up, so we have all kinds of different bands, and tends to not have the same bands all the time. And so I've been going down there for the past many years, and a lot of these bands, in fact, I don't know that I've heard any of these bands down there, so you get a new perspective, a bunch of new bands, and as you can tell, a lot of different types of music.
All right, looking forward to those concerts. Moving along, council approved a preliminary plat. This is for Port Riverwalk and Centra Homes, and also the preliminary and final site plan. This project we've been long awaiting to happen.
Yeah, I'm excited about this, and sometimes with these projects, it's difficult because for a lot of people, it's never going to be perfect for everyone. And I remember I lived in this neighborhood when a project was talked about, and as I said at a council meeting, I've been gone from that neighborhood for 21 years, so this is a long time in the works. But I'm very happy that it's Centra Homes, happens to be a local business in Coon Rapids, and quality projects in Blaine and other communities around. And and the thing that sometimes, as council or even, a citizen watching, it may not be the home you want to live in, but these are very popular right now. I mean, these type of homes are being built all over the metro, and there's an element of our society that whether it's younger people or people like myself that maybe want to get away from a yard, that don't want they don't want to have a yard. They want to have the freedom to just go and do other things, and there's some variety in the homes here, and I think what our goal should be is a successful development, and I think Centra Homes is going to make this a successful development. And there's the only thing as far as retail that wanted to go in there was a convenience store gas station, and that was something that the council was not interested in. A lot of people they'd like to see a coffee shop or those type of retail, and unfortunately at this point it's there's certainly some opportunity in other locations, but that's not what's going to happen with this project right now. It's detached townhomes, and I think it's a very good plan. I think people are going to be excited and happy about this development. I've been to the open houses, and several of my old neighbors from that had signed up to consider purchasing there. And I think if you're someone that lives there and considering continue to move into a townhome, I think that says good things about it. So I'm very optimistic that this project, years down the road, is going to be seen as a successful and a good thing for the community.
Yeah, and there was some discussion about during the council meeting about the 10 feet between the homes, which is a fairly short distance.
There's no doubt about it. And like you say, if you're somebody that's traditionally lived in a single-family home, that's probably something that I guess I look at growing up. I had friends in Minneapolis that you could hand a cup of sugar to the house next to you, and some of these older homes were built that way, and they didn't have much for yards, and now we're going back to that with some of these detached townhomes and stuff, and I think, again, if it's not what you or I choose, is not what's important. Is there a market for this? And I think there very much is.
Yeah, and obviously the developer must think so, or they wouldn't be putting this project in.
They've got a lot invested.
So, and then the other interesting part I found about this is it's 136 unit single family development, but about half of these is sort of like a neighborhood within a neighborhood, and different styles of homes.
Yeah, there's actually going to be a couple of different housing associations depending on what groupings they're in, because they have a little different needs.
Yeah, so there's the court homes. There's going to be 67 court homes, and then there's 35 single level homes, and then 34 two-story homes. So lots of variety. I imagine lots of different ages looking for homes like that.
Yeah, these projects, like I said, that they've young couples, young singles, and then also people that choose to get out of their home, that aren't ready for an apartment or don't choose an apartment. So yeah, I'm told it'll be a very diverse group that'll be living there. So we'll see.
All right, and we'll see if constructions on the homes actually starts this year. It sounds like construction will begin on this site, but there is some streets and stuff to be done first.
The optimistic view, I believe, is still accurate, is that there'll be some models this fall. So, things change, and if that gets pushed back to next spring, I guess we'll find out. But hopefully they're still on pace for that.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to seeing something go up on that site anyways. Council approved a planning case for alternative exterior material. This is for a building expansion at Green Pay Packaging. Always good to see our businesses expanding.
Exactly, and again, this was kind of easy because it's a very good looking quality looking replacements. So, and exactly what you say. I mean, when successful companies in our community want to invest money here and stuff, that's a great thing.
Yeah, and so they needed approval for alternative exterior material. Is this essentially to match what they already have there?
Correct.
Okay.
And like I said, it's a quality. Sometimes you have to have ordinance and criteria and stuff, but sometimes you need to be a little flexible too, because obviously if you're going to expand your building, you want it to look the same.
Yeah, and this is about 100,000 square foot expansion, so fairly big, and they're doing some new stuff there and need the space.
Yeah, very significant, yes.
All right. Council adopted a resolution. This increases the stormwater drainage rate.
Yeah, unfortunately, nobody likes to see their bills go up, but the one thing I take a lot of pride in our staff is we're proactive when it comes to these things, that, to keep things operating. Unfortunately, everything costs money, and we don't want to be in a situation where we're not doing a good job of the infrastructure of the city. I mean, it's not exciting stuff, but it's kind of the nuts and bolts of what the city does, and it, like I said, it takes money to do that. So we always try to curb how much increases are, but
Right.
we also have to be fiscally responsible to, pay for what we need to pay for.
Yeah, and a 10% increase sounds like a lot, but for single-family homes, basically amounts to $1.15 per quarter. But you do hit harder the commercial and those folks, because obviously they're going to pay more.
Exactly. Yeah.
All
Like
right.
I said, it's kind of one of those necessary evils.
Yeah, and they come up and it's analyzed each year as to is there
Exactly.
an increase needed or not. All right, well, that is all I have to talk about, unless there's anything else that you want to add.
No, I just wish everybody a happy Easter, and hopefully we're going to see some springtime here. Watching the Twins last night, and people are in stocking caps and stuff. We're ready for some warm weather. So
Hey, they got in that first home opener game, and it was actually pretty nice weather-wise for end of March. So
yeah, that was unbelievable. Yeah.
pretty good. All right. Well, we appreciate you being here today and talking to us. Thank you at home for watching, and we'll see you back here after our 2 meetings in May.